When we first formed the company, we were trying to find something that met the name, it had a name, but it also had a meaning behind it. And we came up with safety, which stands for safety and fire technology. We wanted to make sure that we provided for not only the fire aspects of the glazing, but also the safety aspects, so that people would not be injured, and especially concerned about children. And in the process, we discovered that there were products out there that were being sold to the market, for the fire safety market, that were only fire rated, not safety rated. And we had to educate the market, which was a major task. That there were not only, the competitor was telling the marketplace that if it met fire safety, it did not have to meet impact safety. That they were two separate things, and as long as it met fire safety, it did not have to meet impact safety. This was not true. The school had the initiative to see that the safety of the children in this school was looked after as far as impact is concerned, and that they understand that impact and fire safety are not separate goals.
My name is Daniel Klingebiel. I'm Director of Facilities and Planning at National Center for International Schools in San Francisco. The campus started as a private K-12 facility for two independent private schools, the French American International School and the Chinese American International School. When we first moved in 1997, we had a combined population of about 900 students. Now, 10 years later, we have about 1,350 students.
I'm a building code consultant. I'm also a parent of a student at the international schools in San Francisco. I have two concerns about safety in these exit corridors. One is impact safety, the other is fire safety. When we're talking about fire safety and protecting corridors in schools, we expect the fire to start on the classroom side. And we want to protect that corridor so our children can escape the building safely. The concern with impact safety is when you have many children trying to exit in a panic situation, when they bump up against the glass, which is an unforeseeable circumstance, is it impact safe? Will it withstand that impact? The second concern we have is with fire safety, and there are two components to that. One is, will it protect against the spread of fire? The second is, will it limit the transmission of radiant heat?
Part of the code requirements for converting this office building into an educational facility involved having vision panels installed in the doors. That's part of an education code requirement that allows outside persons to inspect the goings-on in a classroom. So from the very beginning in 1997, classrooms had wire glass vision panels inside the doors. There are a number of side lights throughout the building that were also required or that were just architectural elements.
The code in California has changed and is changing throughout the country. Wire glass lost its exemption as a non-safety rated product. Now all glass has to be safety rated if it's going to be in a hazardous location that's subject to human impact.
The building codes provide a minimum standard of safety. For example, the CPSC set a 400 foot-pound impact standard for glazing panels that are 9 square feet or greater. The CPSC also set a 150 foot-pound impact standard for glazing panels that are less than 9 square feet. However, if you look at the kinetic energy directed and generated by a high school student running at full force, that's 1,500 foot-pounds. So when we're talking about building codes, they really are a minimum standard.
The hardest thing to get across to most people is the fragility of wired glass. People see the wire and they think, oh, that's much stronger. It must be because it's got wires in it. Just the opposite is true. Wire glass has half the strength as a piece of glass without the wires in it. So the impression out there is that because there's wires in it, it adds safety to the glass. The opposite is true. The wires act as a break plane for any flaw in the glass or any pressure on that glass to create a break or shatter or go through it. So if you look at a piece of wire glass, it's got less strength than picture frame glass that you'd see on the wall. That's single pane, single strength glass. It has less strength than that.
The impact standard that used to apply to wire glass was 100 foot-pound impact standard, which the CPSC found only protected children under 5. So by the time your children get to school, they're not protected.
This is where the students go and they hang out. They're typically unsupervised or at least loosely supervised. And this door in particular in the school, we have found the glass had to be replaced numerous times because it was kicked out.
Now, the concern is that 6-foot wide corridor can exit by code the people through the building. But when you have a panic situation and a fire, the kids are panicked, they're getting backed up, and not only you have the impact safety requirements, it's really important to be able to get kids out without breaking the glass, and more importantly, to have a secure fire-rated product.
This becomes especially important in schools, hospitals where people are handicapped or in wheelchairs where they can easily bump into a glass doorway or a side light. It's very important where young children are playing or can play, active locations, so schools, kindergartens, hospitals, airports, locations where there's a tremendous amount of human traffic that can be injured by this, and you cannot separate fire safety from human impact safety. They're not separable. You have to maintain both.
This is a very dangerous place for wire glass because it breaks so easily, and when the wires snap, they can actually impale a human limb. When you break it, the wires snap, they stick out, and if your limb goes through, it actually impales a limb, so you're actually injured going in and coming back out. This is replaced with a Superlight 1 product. It's a 20-minute product, and so now we have a Category 2 product in here, which it meets the strongest category impact safety requirements of the CPSC. It's a 400 foot-pound standard. It's meant to protect full body impact. And even though this only required a Category 1 because it's less than 9 square feet, it's a school, it's a high-risk area. We want the maximum impact safety.
Radiant heat protection was an important consideration in trying to provide a safe path of egress for persons in the corridors.
Radiant heat is an invisible killer. We can run into portions of a building thinking we're escaping, but we can become trapped and engulfed in the heat before we notice the flames and the smoke.
If you don't have a product that protects against radiant heat, the radiant heat can get into the corridor and actually burn them before they can even get out, before the fire spreads. It's the radiant heat risk. We've all stood in front of a fireplace and felt that radiant heat coming through. That's what we're talking about here. And if you don't protect against it in an exit corridor where you're trying to get everyone out of the building, kids can actually not walk past the glazing.
Recently, we did a test that staged in 3 different compartments One was a mannequin in one compartment that was protected by ceramic glass. Second compartment that was protected by wired glass. And the third compartment was protected by Superlight 1XL. And as that test was run and the duration of the fire, we saw that the mannequin protected by the wired glass ignited first. The mannequin protected by the ceramic glass ignited secondly, and then finally the mannequin that was protected by the Superlight 1XL ignited. So we saw in very real terms how each type of glass provided protection against the radiant heat generated by the furnace, the test furnace.